Welcome to this channel. Mau belajar bahasa Indonesia atau bahasa Inggris dengan cara yang seru, santai, dan mudah dipahami? You're in the right place. Belajar kosakata dan ekspresi sehari-hari. Learn daily vocabulary and expressions. Dengarkan contoh situasi nyata. Listen to real-life examples. Subscribe sekarang dan nyalakan notifikasi. Let's learn together and have fun.
You know, when you think about puppets, your first thought might be, I don't know, kids shows. Maybe something simple.
Right, light entertainment.
Exactly. But then you look at a place like Indonesia and it's a whole different story. Puppets there are this incredibly respected art form, deeply cultural.
Absolutely. And we stumbled upon some really cool insights about this, funnily enough, from an absolute beginner's Indonesian language course.
Yeah. Lesson 6, believe it or not, titled Puppets Aren't Just for Kids in Indonesia.
It's kind of amazing how much cultural depth you can find packed into basic language learning materials. It just shows how, language and culture are really two sides of the same coin.
Totally inseparable.
Yeah.
You're not just learning words, you're getting a peek into a worldview.
Exactly. A portal, almost.
So that's our mission for this deep dive, really. Yeah. We want to take this seemingly simple lesson and pull out all the juicy bits about Indonesian shadow puppetry. Wayang kulit, that's the term.
Yeah, well, John Kulit.
We want to give everyone listening a quick, but hopefully quite thorough sense of why these puppets are so much more than, your average sock puppet.
Okay, let's do it. Where does the lesson start?
Well, it kicks off with this little dialogue. Indonesian English between two characters, Tuti and Edie.
Right.
Tuti asks Edie, Mas Edie mau kemana nanti malam?
Yeah.
Which is basically, Eddie, where are you heading tonight?
And then Edisha replies, super relatable, Belum tahu, I don't know yet. Classic indecision.
Yeah. But that sets up Tuti's next question, and this is where we start getting into the cultural stuff.
Okay.
She asks, Pernah nonton wayang kulit? Have you ever watched a shadow play?
The key question. And
Edie says, Belum pernah, which means I haven't yet.
Oh, yeah, interesting.
And Tuti invites him. Mau nonton. Want to watch. And he's keen. Yeah, Mari. Yeah, let's go.
So even in that short exchange, there's some useful vocabulary popping up.
Definitely. We've got nanti malam, which means later evening or tonight. Gives context.
Right. And belum, meaning not yet, and pernah, meaning ever, crucial for talking about experience or lack of it.
Yeah, his lack of experience with the wayang kulit. And then the main action, nonton, to watch.
And that friendly invitation, Mari, let's go.
But it's not just the words themselves. The lesson actually uses the grammar point here to give a little cultural insight.
Oh, how so?
It focuses on that question structure, pernah. Have you ever? And the negative answer, belum, not yet.
Okay, pernah and belum.
And the lesson explains something interesting about belum. It says, while tidak is the direct word for no, using belum, not yet, often carries a slightly different feel in Indonesian culture. It kind of suggests that something is expected to happen eventually.
Okay, so it's not a hard no, it's more like a not at this moment.
Precisely. The example the lesson gives is marriage. If you ask someone if they're married, just saying tidak no might sound a bit abrupt to some Indonesians.
Because marriage is perhaps a general expectation.
Sort of, yeah. So saying belum not yet is softer. It fits the cultural context better, implying, maybe someday, just not now.
That's a great example of pragmatics, how language use goes beyond just the dictionary definition. It reflects politeness, expectations.
Right, it's a tiny linguistic point, but it opens a window onto these subtle cultural norms. You see that kind of indirectness in lots of cultures, don't you?
Definitely. It's often about maintaining harmony or showing respect. So, okay, this dialogue sets the scene, introduces some key terms, and even gives us a grammar culture link. What's next?
Right. So after that, we hit the main section labeled Cultural Insight. And this is all about the shadow theater itself, wayang kulit.
This is the core of it.
And it doesn't pull any punches. The lesson straight up calls wayang kulit one of Indonesia's most famous cultural assets.
That's a strong statement and totally accurate. Wayang kulit is huge. It's UNESCO recognized even. Masterpiece of oral and intangible heritage.
Wow. Okay, so UNESCO recognition, that really tells you something.
Yeah, it's not just local entertainment, it's globally significant heritage.
The lesson then describes the setup. These flat puppets made from buffalo hide. Kulit means skin, right?
That's right. Kulit is skin or leather. So wayang kulit literally means like leather shadow or skin puppet. These figures are often incredibly intricate, beautifully carved and painted.
And they're manipulated behind a screen, a cloth screen with a light behind them.
Exactly. The audience watches the shadows projected onto the screen. It creates this really unique kind of magical visual effect.
It sounds captivating.
Yeah.
But then the lesson introduces the dalang, the shadow master.
Ah, the dalang, the heart and soul of the performance.
And it specifically says the dalang is more than a puppeteer. What does that imply? It sounds like a really demanding role.
Oh, it is massively demanding. The dalang isn't just moving the puppets. They're the storyteller. They perform all the character voices, heroes, villains, gods, clowns, everything.
All of them. Wow.
All of them. Plus, they often sing traditional songs, provide narration, and get this, conduct the gamelan orchestra that accompanies the performance.
Conduct the orchestra, too. That's incredible. It's like a one-person powerhouse.
It really is. Yeah. They need artistic skill. Stamina performances can last all night. Deep knowledge of the stories, usually epics like the Mahabharata or Ramayana.
Yeah, the lesson lists all those things. Voices, narration, singing, conducting. It paints a picture of this, master performer.
And there's even another layer. The lesson mentions that in some situations, the dalang can also be a ritual specialist, maybe even a shaman.
A shaman, okay, that takes it to a whole other level. So it's not just art, it can be spiritual.
Yes, it can have deep spiritual and ritual significance. The performance itself might be part of a ceremony, and the dalang is seen as someone who can mediate between different realms, perhaps.
That's profound. The lesson note itself just touches on that briefly, but even the mention of it completely changes how you think about it. Yeah. So we've gone from Edie saying belum pernah, haven't seen it yet, to understanding this is a major cultural asset. Intricate art involving this incredibly skilled dalang who might even have a shamanic role.
It really hammers home the title, doesn't it? Puppets aren't just for kids in Indonesia. Not even close.
Worlds away from Punch and Judy.
Absolutely. And it all came out of dissecting a beginner's language lesson. It's a perfect case study in how language learning isn't just about grammar tables and vocab lists.
It's about culture, history, values.
All embedded right there in the language itself, even simple phrases.
So for everyone listening, the big takeaway here is maybe how much cultural richness can be hidden in plain sight, in places you wouldn't expect. Like a language lesson.
It's a reminder to stay curious, I think, to look beyond the surface level.
Yeah, and maybe question our own assumptions. We see puppets and think one thing, but somewhere else it means something vastly different and incredibly complex.
That's a really good point. This whole exploration challenges those easy assumptions. It pushes us to appreciate the diversity and depth of traditions worldwide.
Right. So, summarizing this deep dive, wayang kulit in Indonesia, it's huge. It's art, it's performance, it's storytelling. It involves incredible skill from the dalang, and it holds deep cultural, sometimes even spiritual weight.
Couldn't have said it better. And the source. A simple Indonesian lesson, which is kind of the coolest part.
It really is. It shows that connection language is culture. Culture is language.
You start learning a few words, and suddenly you've got a key to unlock a whole new understanding.
Okay, so here's something to maybe chew on after this. Think about how just learning the basics of a language, any language, might suddenly reframe something you thought was simple, like puppets. What other everyday things or maybe other simple learning materials you've encountered might actually be hiding these incredible layers of cultural meaning, just waiting to be uncovered.
Thank you for watching this video. Hopefully useful. Don't forget to like and subscribe.